Welcome to Back of the Room. My guest today is a very funny stand-up comedian who also has a ton of movie and TV credits, including The Italian Job, Mr. and Mrs. Smith, Reno 911, and The King of Queens. Make sure to check out his latest special called Zero Tolerance. It's Jimmy Shubert.
Hey, man, how are you?
What's up, man? How you doing?
Nothing much, bro. Just working, man. Just working my way across the country and back again. I was just in Las Vegas. I was doing the LA Comedy Club out there, and I had a 4-day stint. I had 4 days off. Went to this thing called Magic Live, which is this because I do close-up magic, so it was like this 4-day magic festival with 2,600 magicians from around the world, and the shows and lectures and the big magic shop, and it's kind of cool. So I did that for 4 days, and I came here.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember, I don't know if you remember me or not, but I opened for you last year with Sean.
Yes.
And we had some barbecue one day, and you did a magic trick for Sean after he had a few, and he lost his mind.
Oh, yeah. It's something I like to do. I've been doing it since I'm 9.
Yeah, it was a good trick.
It's one of those things. Thank you. But, yeah, it's like, it's just one of those things. I just, because I travel a lot, and you spend a lot of solitary time, and so you need something to do. I mean, you can read, you read and obviously do magic and work on tricks. So, I mean, if you do magic, you have to love practicing the magic because that's how you get good at it. So, like stand-up comedy, very similar. But some of those things I learned early in my life, I drag over into my stand-up, which is great,
What feels better, like getting a new trick or getting a new joke?
Oh, I've always, because I make my living doing stand-up, it's always getting a new piece of material. It's always crafting a new bit that works good, or that you work it out. Like, at this point, you come up with a topic, you kind of work on it for a few days and think about it, and then you got to start to get the order of it, and you can switch the order and figure it out. But, I like playing with all that. That's my favorite thing to do, and obviously a great trick is a very strong second. I find myself lots of times when I'm just sitting here thinking, my brain usually goes to magic, like how to make a presentation better, or how to make a trick better, or how to do a move better, or how does that? And so that seems to be something that's just ingrained in me, because I was doing it since I'm 9, so it's just a great hobby. I wouldn't say I'm a professional. I'm good enough to be a pro. I just don't want to demote myself from national touring comedy headliner to doing Little Lenny Horowitz's bar mitzvah. You know what I mean? I want to be, I mean, I just love stand-up the way it is, and I don't cross the streets. Very rarely will you catch me doing one on stage, but for the most part, it's just fun.
Yeah, that's cool, man. I can see the correlation because good punchline, that's a surprise. A good joke, or a new good trick is.
There's things that are similar, like golf. I look at golf as definitely a comics game because the drive is the premise, the approach shots are the punchlines, the putts are the taglines. So it's very similar to that kind of approach. Also, magic is a presentation art form, as is stand-up comedy. So they have things that are similar, and it's just the magicians rehearse a lot, and I don't think comics do that much. And so there's I mean, I like to get my pieces, I call them performance ready, so they're just and so that, I guess maybe I drew a little bit of that from magic. It's just the working and the preparation that goes into doing a show. Probably came over with me from magic. So
yeah, that's awesome, man.
Yeah, and if you catch me the right day, I do a 40-minute close-up show just with stuff I have in my pockets. That's pretty pretty cool. It's just not my. I'm not going to start over. It's just something I do.
Yeah, I think you're doing it right for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I was introduced to you with your Comedy Central Presents. That was great, man. I watched it a bunch of times back in the day with my brother.
Yeah. I worked my ass off on that too. I mean, that thing I got the last one available. I had 3 months to get ready. I booked myself a couple weeks. I booked myself as a feature act just to get ready for that time, just to get ready for that 26-minute, because it's 26 minutes with commercial breaks. And so to get it, just that like 8 ounce of filet mignon with no fat on it, just boom, cooked perfectly. And, I did the Cajunal twin bits on that.
That was great, yeah.
Which is a bit you couldn't do today. People go, how did you get them to do it? I go, I showed up with notes during the rehearsal. I said, you let me do this? He goes, absolutely not. I go, can I reach out a frame? He goes, yeah, you can reach out a frame. I said, so when I'm going into that let my arm reach out of frame so the people in the crowd can see it, but the people at home can't see it. He goes, perfect. I said, I do this bit. This bit is the finish on my face, so you can do a close-up right here. So I went over every little bit of it. And I remember a long time ago when I was talking with Sam Kinison, who I used to open for back in the day, many years ago. I don't think many people know who he is now. But
I do.
Yeah, but he was, well, you're a comedy fan, so Sam was, I remember him telling me about his Rodney Dangerfield special. It was 6 minutes. It was 6 minutes. It was 6 minutes. And he showed up and he went over. He said, show up prepared. Go, oh, if you ever get an opportunity to do it, he goes, go over everything. And sure enough, I did. And that's why it looked so good. And then, of course, when they were editing it, I sent over half a case of wine. And a little note that says, I don't touch the opening. Don't touch the closing. Everything in the middle is up for game. Yeah. And I did a cool thing where it was like I was going for this film noir, so it started in black and white, and I was under a street lamp, and you saw the city at this alleyway, and then when I turned around and walked down, it bled into color.
Yeah,
I thought it would have been cool to do it in black and white, but I didn't think they were too keen on that. But they gave me the opening, which is nice, and they were. Yeah, they were very nice, but I just said, "Hey, just do me a favor," and they were like, "We got you. Don't worry, this is great." And I got a standing ovation, and it was really, I prepped for it, and so yeah, that was a good special. I was very proud of it.
Yeah, that was great, and that's some good tips too on just kind of how you got to, schmooze a little bit, and get some things. And
also, I was getting myself physically in shape for it as well. I was riding a bike 20 miles a day. I was videotaping and recording my sets every night. I mean, I wanted to have it down. I know from doing television that anything can happen during a performance, and you got to be ready to go. You have to be ready. So I was, that was, that's the way I got. Even if I had a Tonight Show, that's the way I would get ready. Yeah. I would get myself, get ready down to it. And this way, it's like, not that it's automatic, but you're comfortable enough. And the only reason you get nervous is because you didn't do the work. If you do the work, then you may be a little nervous, but not as nervous as if you didn't prepare to do the work.
Yeah.
So I think that's one of the. I mean, I still get a little nerves before shows. In the less consequential show, the more nervous you get sometimes. So I learned to channel that properly, but with breathing exercises and so forth. My acting coach, Karen West, said she called it butt breathing. She said breathing like you feel like you're drawing in through your asshole, and just that deep breathing connects you to your body, and you kind of calm down a little bit. But that's my whole. Like everything you do is nerve-wracking. I mean, whether you're auditioning for 20 TV executives for the part of a lifetime, where you're up for if you get this role in the TV series, it'll change your life, or all those things. So it's been a where most people would like to fall apart. That's where I seem to be most comfortable in those situations, anyway.
Yeah, that's great advice. Just preparing and being ready. That's good advice for sure.
Well, there's no book you can read to prepare to, you just got to do the work. And, and that's why I like stand-up. Stand-up comedy is kind of the great equalizer. I mean, you can fool some of the people some of the time. You can fool all the people some of the time, but you can't fool all the people all the time. It really is. I mean, when you watch somebody do it, it looks so natural. You look Louis C.K., seems like he's just talking, but Louis is a writer. I know Louis puts so much work into those bits and so many ideas. It just seems like he's talking, but I can guarantee you a lot of work goes into that. Every single fucking detail, every thought, every phrase. I mean, certainly, one of my things that drives me crazy is watching a comic and they do a great joke, and it's not as a great joke, it's a great premise. And there's just in my head, I go, there's 15 other jokes there, but they're already on to another joke. They didn't think about it. They didn't squeeze everything out of it. They didn't squeeze all the laughs out of that premise. I mean, it's a great premise. There's 15 jokes there, and he does one great joke, which would lead me to 7 or 8 other lines, and then he just goes on. I go, man, you gotta dig deeper.
That's good advice. Yeah. I need to probably do that myself because I do a lot of short jokes, and sometimes I'm like, well, I should probably. Tag it more.
I work in a comedic short story for him. It's funny. I used to be the doorman at the Comedy Store in Los Angeles, and I'll tell you this: it's one night at the Comedy Store, you could hear 5 guys do a similar joke. Some would even do it verbatim, you know. And everybody's like, whose joke is it? I go, I can tell you whose joke it is. The guy who tags it 3 times.
Yeah.
The guy who tags it 3 times. Because he put more thought into it than the other people did. They just heard the joke, did a version of the joke, but it's very similar. But the guy who, I mean, I work in a comedic short story form. So if I introduce a topic, if I introduce a subject matter, I'm going to do 7 minutes on it, 8 minutes on it. I mean, you could do, you know, I mean, you know, Seinfeld's great at that too, exhausting a premise. I call it exhausting a premise. And, you know, Jerry, he just is logically, he just kind of unfolds and folds it back up into the octagon.
Yeah.
Like bap, 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 you know. And there's like, it's just, there's just a lot of thought goes into it, you know.
Yeah. Gaffigan's good about that too, because he'll do one food or one topic, and it's just, you feel like there's nothing left of that topic after he's done with it.
Yeah, that's just good writing, and that's
Yeah.
where you know, and as a comedian, that's where you do 80% of your work on the pad and the paper. You know, I mean, you know, I see a lot of people doing crowd work where it's not even great crowd work; it's mediocre crowd work, and people think that's like a trend. It's not really a trend. I mean, where are you going with that?
Yeah.
I mean, what are you going to do that on Tonight Show? You can't do crowd work on a Tonight Show. You could do it on a Netflix special. Matt Rife, who I did a movie with called Don't Suck, which is on Amazon Prime.
Check it out.
Yeah, but Matt does a lot of crowd work, and you know, it's like there's a lot of ways to do what it is you're trying to do, you know. And I got to be honest, the old models I had in my head are completely shattered, and the business is changing, and the thing is, how do you adapt? How do you adapt and stay relevant and keep writing and keep releasing your specials and keep doing your albums? I mean, you know, I'm a real comedian. I love being a comedian. If I couldn't do this, I wouldn't. It's like breathing air for me. I live it. I breathe it. I sleep it. I talk it. I get up in the morning. I'm thinking about it. I'm thinking about a premise. I'm thinking about stuff I'm going to do now. I always carry a pen and paper. I'm always working on it because you never know when that inspiration comes. You know, sometimes you got to get out of bed at 3 o'clock in the morning and write it fucking down because you know you'll forget. But I have a pen and a pad right by the paper, so I'll do that. I mean, it just comes at weird times, but it also certainly, you know, because you don't want to be talking about the same things everybody else is. I mean, you can, but how are you talking about it so it's different, you know?
Yeah.
And so that's the thing. It's like it seems like the originality is not material anymore because you got 5,000, 6,000 guys out there all talking about the same shit. The originality, I think, is in the delivery of the material and how do you break it down, you know? But yeah, it's to each his own, you know. Everybody's got to figure it out for themselves. That's really, I mean, you got to find your authentic voice. That's what it is. It's a lot like being a stripper. You're just not taking off your clothes physically, but you're undressing mentally. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I mean, you're kind of being vulnerable and exposing your thought process and stuff like that. It's just on a different level. So, but yeah, that's you know.
Bombing is a stripper. We're comedian. They're both going to be rough.
Yeah, well, you know,
I don't know how you bomb as a stripper, but a small.
I'll tell you what, man. I learned more from bad sets than I ever did from good sets.
Yeah.
You know, bombing is part of the game.
It is part of it for sure.
That's just the way it is, and you get better, and you thin, your skin gets thicker, and you figure out how to move on. It's not the end all be all. There's another show tomorrow night.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, you use it as fuel to get you better, you know, and usually it traces back to something I did or something I said or the way I said something or the fact that I wasn't establishing a rapport with the audience or that I wasn't making eye contact or that I was talking down to them or I was talking over them or I wasn't making a connection with them. And usually it can trace back to that. I mean, any time I have a bad set, that's usually what it is, something I did, not that the audience did necessarily. I mean, you know, and that's another thing. I come from magic. They said there's no bad magicians. There's no bad audiences. There's only bad magicians. And I say the same goes for comedy. There's no bad audiences. There's only bad comedians. And, you know, it's a lot of people. Like, it's more about the audience to me. It's all about them.
Yeah.
It's all about making them laugh and talking about things that they can relate to, really. I mean, if I'm talking about my dating life, nobody gives a shit. You know what I mean? Nobody cares about, you know what I mean? You have to present it in a way that's accessible. I mean, stand-up comedy is certainly an everyman's art form, so they have to feel like you're one of them.
Yeah.
And I've heard that from other guys. I mean, I've heard it with Damon Wayans, who was one of my favorite comedians to watch at the Comedy Store. Damon would, you know, he was a truth teller, like in a way that, like Richard Pryor was. I mean, he always reminded me of his sense of honesty was Richard Pryor, but he said, you know, the most fun I had doing this when I was doing it for $35 a night. Now someone writes you a check for $30 million and go be funny. You're like, oh shit.
Yeah.
I mean, things change, you know. So I always say this to other comics I know from back in the day at the Comedy Store. I mean, I don't think we realized how lucky we had it, how good we had it. That you know, there's no cancel culture. You didn't have to worry about getting canceled. Everybody didn't have cell phones. You know, you were able to, you know, be creative. I mean, fall on your face and figure it out, but you were allowed to, you know, you can't tie someone's hands behind their back. This idea that people can take words and eradicate them from the dictionary, you don't own a fucking word.
Yeah.
You don't own the word. I'm sorry, and that's my toolbox. Words are my toolbox.
Yeah,
and the vocabulary is my toolbox, and you don't get to choose what I can talk. I think that's really, and I mean, you know, how ridiculous have we become? I mean, people get fired for a fucking tweet. That sounds like something a cartoon character would say. Hey, Twitty, I got fired for a tweet. Like, what are you, a fucking retard? See, that's what happens. You can't say the word retarded anymore.
You can say it.
People
Yes.
actually become retarded. You know what I mean? That's what happens when you do that stuff.
Yeah, it's back and forth, and it's kind of our job to kind of figure out how to do it. You know, you can say whatever you want, I think, if you make it funny.
Well, I think it is. I think you have to figure out what you want to say.
Yeah.
I figure, like, you know, and there's people doing this at a lot of levels. There's some people that are hobbyists. They just love stand-up. They love being around stand-up. They like the craft. They like the art form. Some people are just kind of, you know, professional open micers. They do the open mics. They're happy with that. Other people have grander aspirations and want to make a living doing it or become a famous comedian doing it. So it's like, you know, it just depends. It's interesting. I was having this conversation with Dom Irrera one time, and he was talking. He goes, how many famous baseball players you know? And I said, well, there's 32 teams, 25-man rosters, 750 guys, give or take, injured reserve, you know, blah, blah, blah. He goes, that's right. He goes, and football, he goes, about 1553, give or take, injured reserve, all that shit, about 1,553 guys. But he goes, how many NHL guys is a little less than baseball, and the NBA is a little less than that. And the only group probably less than that would be professional golfers on the money list, which is 125. And we were having a discussion. He said, how many guys do you know that are alive and well and working at a level that you appreciate and making a living doing it now? And at the time, this was a conversation we had 7 years ago. I said, I could probably name about 80, 90, maybe 100 guys. Maybe together we'd name about 125, maybe 130, 40. He goes, that's right. So statistically speaking, you have a better chance of becoming a famous baseball player than you do becoming a famous comedian. And that's not even a famous comedian. That's a working comedian. I mean, I'm not even talking about being famous. I mean, and there's levels of fame, but I mean, statistically speaking, it's easier to become a famous baseball player than it is a comedian. And it's really, really tough to become a famous baseball player.
Yeah.
I mean, so that's what you're up against. I mean, I tell people all the time, you should be, if you're going to do this and you have professional aspirations, you should study it like a fucking science. You should study it like a science. You should know who Sam Kinnison's and Bill Hicks and all the guys, and like, you know, I mean, Jackie Gleason and the guys, that old school, because it's all rooted in that. It's just rooted in that. I mean, you know, there was I would say maybe Mort Saul was the original nightclub comedian who went out with a newspaper and had notes for stuff he read. He would put the newspaper under his arm, and then came Lenny Bruce, which fucking exploded. And then you had Pryor and Carlin, who were two these Ed Sullivan guys, and both of them became these counterculture icons. And then you got, you know, which spawned a whole nother generation of comedians. And then you have Joan Rivers, and you have all these like legendary guys. I mean, I watched those Dean Martin roasts, and you know, I mean, I don't know. There's something about it. Those roasts were different than the roasts they have today.
Yeah,
I actually think the old ones are better.
Yeah,
and you know, it's just not that it's no, not that some of them aren't fun to watch, but still, that's not. It's disguised as a cultural event. It's really equivalent to fucking monkeys throwing feces at each other.
The old one seems like they were buddies and they were kind of just giving each other a hard time.
Yeah, that's all. But it was also but it was on television. I mean, it was kind of fun. So I don't know. I just it's
something.
I mean,
else,
if you're
man.
taking it to that level, I mean, you should know who Joan Rivers is, and Elaine Boozler, and all these famous female comedians that came before you. And Elaine Boozler and Joan Rivers were fucking badasses. I mean, her documentary, Piece of Work, is my favorite documentary. She was, she was a badass. She hung with all the legendary cats, and she was a lady. And this is like '69, early '70s. She was the Amazing Miss Maisel is based on Joan Rivers' life, kind of similar. But I mean, she's a badass, man.
Yeah, she was good.
And Elaine Boozler, I think, was one of the funniest. I mean, she did a baseball joke that this whole piece, very much the equivalent of Carlin's. Baseball's played on a diamond, football played on a gridiron. You know. But she did a great. So I think people should, especially if you're going to do this for a living. Everybody thinks social media. Look, a lot of people put the social media cart before the horse. Build the fucking act. The act will get you booked over and over and over again. Then you can do, you could do social media while you're building the act. But building the act should be the main focus.
Yeah, for sure.
But I know the business model's changed and how many followers you got. It's like, it's make believe. We live in a world of make believe. There's guys out there moving tickets and selling tickets. Even I do in some markets. Once guys become that big, they move on to theaters. They start doing theaters, and they're not even in comedy clubs anymore. So, club owners would be wise to help these guys build a following in their markets. You got to bring a guy back more than once every 3 years in order for him to build a market.
Yeah, for sure.
I mean, pick the guys you like and do it with the guys you like. So it's all different. But
that's all good advice, man. Let's take a quick break. We'll be right back. Talk some more with Jimmy Shubert, everybody. All right, and we're back, sitting here talking to Jimmy Shubert. Already talked about a lot of comedy stuff, history of comedy.
Yeah.
I did a little internet research. Sorry if anything's off here, but have a couple questions about kind of your start and everything. So you started in Philly. You're from Philly?
Yep, started in Philly, from Philly. I knew, I was a magician when I was 9. I became an accomplished magician when I was 15. I was doing shows, probably like 4 or 5 shows a month.
Wow.
And I was working with this group called the Southampton Star Showcase. They did a lot of charity shows, a lot of free shows. I mean, that's the thing. You're trying to figure out. And then, I had my sights set on, I knew I wanted to be an entertainer. I was doing the magic, which was cool because I could do magic. I couldn't get into the nightclubs till I was much later, till you were 18 at least. And also acting. I went to a magnet school. I went to Creative and Performing Arts High School in Philadelphia. Wow. Very prestigious school. There was 2 versions. There's a private version, a public version. I went to the public version, but you had to commute for an hour a day to get down there for class, and you had 3 drama classes a day, and you were studying the craft of acting and the way to present. Because I figured, I was just one of those people. If I was going to go in for something, I was all in, and I wanted to be prepared. I wanted to have my tools. I wanted to have the tools. I'm lucky because I've had fucking jobs since I'm 11. I was always doing something, whether it was delivering circulars or washing dishes or whatever the deal. I was always working. I was paying my mom rent when I was 16 years old, $40 a month. Bingo. But because I had, there's 5, 6 boys in that house, so I was paying. So I've done a freaking ton of things.
Yeah,
I've done a ton of things before I even got to the point where when I hit 18, I started. I had my eyes on it. I was, and then 18, I went and started doing stand-up in Philly. I did it for a couple of years in Philly, and I jumped in my car and I drove out to, and I was going up to New York at the time too, and I jumped in my car and I drove to Los Angeles, and I started at the Comedy Store as a doorman about 2 weeks from the time I arrived. And so, I was just one of these, I was lucky because I knew what I wanted to do early on. This was my thing. I was going, if I can make a living doing this, this will be awesome.
Yeah.
And so I started at that, and I did it for a couple years in Philly to get the dust off, look at my feet underneath me, and then I went to Los Angeles at the world famous Comedy Store, trading punchlines with the best guys in the country, and it took me a little while to get in there, but once I got paid regular, and then you were doing sets every night, and I was there, I'm not going out and doing the road and stuff, and then you start figuring out how to make a living doing it. I wound up touring with the late Sam Kinison for about 5 years.
Wow.
I knew Sam for 8. With the last couple years we toured together before he died. He died in 92, April 10th, about 7 o'clock at night. And with Carl LeBeau, Mitch Walters, and Alan Stevens, and these guys were like comedy mentors. They really were. Not only were they great comedians themselves, but they would coach you up. And you need mentors. This is definitely a profession where it helps you to have mentors, people that say, "Hey, do it like this. Don't do it like that." That's the set it up that way makes more sense, and things like that, and just little pointers, and then you would take it and run with it. But I watched it every night. I was a doorman. I watched comics every fucking night.
So who were some of the guys you were seeing when you first got
Gary
there?
Shandling, Robin Williams, Richard Pryor would come in, Sam Kinison, Carl LeBeau, Andrew Dice Clay, Louis Anderson, Harry Basil. I mean, these guys, Finest Henderson.
Wow.
I mean, these guys were like guys that were like, they were all top-notch pro comics that would fucking murder. Like when I got to comedy, everybody there was a fucking monster. I mean, there was a couple late at night guys that were the early guys to warm up the audience, but I mean, once you got into the meat of those lineups, I mean, it was unbelievable. With Jess Cesario. Everywhere. Ronnie Kinney. I mean, even guys that didn't become famous that made their living doing it. And back then a lot of these guys were opening for like Gary Mule Deer wound up opening for some of these bigger singer acts, and they were just on board. And that's all they did was open for the some guys did that on a regular basis in Vegas. That's back when the Dunes was there. I remember the Comedy Store, the room at the Dunes. It's kind of
Yeah, that's crazy. I mean, just that's the place to be. I mean, you went to the
it's
place.
not that. That's not that way anymore.
Well, I mean, at that time, that was That was
it was all exploding. I mean, it was just. I mean, Jim Carrey was there. I mean, I hung out with Jim a couple nights there. Just watching just these amazing comedians, and everyone was different, and everybody was, it was just unbelievable.
Who did you kind of start hanging out with when you got there? I mean, were there other people that were working the door?
Me and Mark Maron started working the door there.
Okay.
Together. Me and Mark are old friends from there. We both lived up at that house, Crest Hill, behind the Comedy Store. And, I'm always happy for my friends' successes. I think, Mark went through, a crazy time there, as we all did, but we all got older and smarter. So I'm always happy for my friends' successes. I'm not one of these guys. Look, my path is my path. Their path is their path. I wish them nothing but the best. I don't ever really. I mean, life is too fucking short. I mean, and if anything, I think other comedians should appreciate the fact that because you realize how tough this industry is. I mean, there, but for the grace of God, go anybody with enough luck and the right timing and the right positioning of anything. I mean, Kevin James of the King Queens, he goes, this could have easily been you here. I mean, you had a development deal. It could have been, and it's just, to be ready at that level of when, opportunity presents itself. And Kevin, worked his ass off. I mean, that guy was, he was there was a lot of responsibility. You got 500 people counting on you to make a show a hit so they could all have jobs, and all the actors and the writers and all the guys on the set and the crew and the other actors, and trying to make the best piece of, television you can make for every week. Is like, I asked Drew Carey when I went to Afghanistan to do shows for the military. Drew called me and asked me if I want to go over and do some shows for the military. It was a DOD, Department of Defense tour called America Support You. I went with Steve Byrne, Pedro Hernandez, and Dave Mordal.
That's awesome.
And we did shows out in Kandahar, and we did at these forward operating bases like Methyer Lam, Camp Right Asadabad. We flew into the into the Pat Tillman Air Base there, and so it was like, it was obviously in the middle of a fucking war zone doing comedy, and but I talked to Drew during that trip, and he was like, "Yeah, because he was already 6." I said to him, I said, "What the fuck are you doing here? What are you out of your mind? You put yourself in harm's way?" He goes, "No, I was a Marine. I like to come out." I go, "That's awesome that he did that." And also, and during that time period, I asked him, "Well, how do you have a successful? What goes into it?" And I was doing some development deal stuff at the time, and he said, "Jimmy, only everything has to go right. I mean, only everything has to go right." And I'm sure if you talk to fucking Seinfeld, it's like only everything has to go right. The casting has to be right.
Yeah.
The people involved, the show, only everything has to go right because you're going to be with those people for the next 9 years, 10 years. It's like a family. So
yeah, I think Seinfeld almost got canceled after a couple seasons.
yeah, he tells that
Like,
story.
it's crazy.
I've heard him tell that story, and it was like they picked one up, but I did listen to another one. They get clipped for 4.
Yeah.
And they put them on Thursday nights. That was when they found an audience. But I mean, it was called the Seinfeld Chronicles.
Yeah.
And then it became Seinfeld. And so, yeah, but I mean, that's tricky business, man. I mean, at the end of the day, you're selling laundry detergent, so you better have a good idea. And you're asking people to come and sit and watch every week and spend 30 minutes of their time to watch your show. So you want to put out the best, a great piece of advice he said to Letterman, Letterman gave him, he says, "I'd rather be unsuccessful doing something I loved than be successful doing something I hated."
That's a good quote.
So it's like I'd rather be. So if you love what you're doing, and it seemed like by all accounts they were having a great time doing Seinfeld. So it was like, yeah, you want to, you'd rather fail miserably doing something you love to do. Everything's not a fucking paycheck. It's certainly. I mean, I've seen 100 cases and stories of that kind of stuff where people just fucking hate going to work. So you don't want that.
Yeah, I mean that's a good mentality to have, man. Just like propping everybody up, having your buddies' backs,
man,
and
listen. Look, this job's already fucking tough enough.
Yeah.
You don't need to be a dick.
Yeah.
In fact, like you asked me to do podcasts, I'll do the podcast. But it's like this business is fucking already tough enough. Why do you got to bust everybody's balls? What do you think you're fucking doing? I mean, it's the only thing that's worth doing is helping people find something that they love to do. If you can help out, if they have the stuff that they have, which it takes to be successful, then help them out a little bit.
Yeah.
I mean, and believe me, I see the comedy clubs are covered with walls of people who never did it for a little while and then got out of it. And it's a tough business, man.
Yeah.
It's a tough business. It's a tough racket. You gotta figure it out as you go. It's definitely not for the squeamish. Let's put it that way. It's a tough business. Tough way, but there's a lot of tough things. You could be a UFC fighter. That's a tough way to make a living.
That's true.
At least no one's going to punch you in the face if you're comedy. At least you hope not.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's a lot of travel. It's a solitary existence. I mean, I say everybody wants to be a comedian until you get on the road. And I'm going, I hate being on the road. Oh, you got to love being on the road. It's part of the deal. You got to enjoy your own company or you're fucked. You'll fucking wind up swinging from a fucking shower curtain in a fucking hotel room because it just didn't work out the way. But you really do have to master your downtime. You're traveling by yourself. You're kind of, you get it down to a science, man. It's like boom, 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 and you just figure it out. It's part of the deal. I mean, I mean that's not what I do on stage. Isn't even work. That's the fun part.
Yeah.
The work's getting from point A to point B. The work is crafting the bits, doing that, and so. But like Russell Peters is a great example. I mean, Russell's a great guy. He's one of my favorite people. I'm going to do. We're doing the tour of the Middle East in October.
Nice.
And he already took me to do India. I mean, Russell was a judge the year I was on Last Comic Standing, and it was very complimentary. He's a sweet. Russell's great to a lot of comedians.
I've heard he's good too.
Yeah, and as is Joe Rogan. I mean, helps out tremendous amount of comedians, and as is Bill Burr. And that's a pattern of people. Because they're successful guys that want other people become successful, and that's the best way to approach it. If you can help other people become successful, then that's it,
Yeah.
I mean, me and Billy Gardell, who was on Mike and Molly, we had just a great competition because we're always going out for the same roles, and I swear there was like a 6-month period, like if he didn't get the job, I got the job, and he got the job, and I got the job, and it was just like one of those things. We both went on Bad Santa, he got the job, and so it's like, But you need people to push you too.
Yeah.
You wanna be, and I mean, but my Billy did like 2 freaking sitcoms. Most people would be thankful to get one. He gets 2 of them. I mean, it's like, it's great. Now he's back out doing stand up, which is awesome. He lost a bunch of weight. But yeah, it's like, this life's short, man. I root for my friends. I don't have an ounce of jealousy or bitterness. I mean, I just love, I love rooting for my friends. I love it when my friends are successful.
Yeah, that's great. Like, I even saw you on a King of Queens episode the other night. I usually watch it at night. It's always on something. And you were on that. How did that kind of come about? Just knowing Kevin a little?
Well, I knew Kevin and Gary. Gary is his brother who played Cousin Daddy. They were great friends. We were back in the day. We hung out a little bit. We used to do shows together. Lenny Schultz. We do the Uncle Funnies. And they were down in Florida for a little bit. And I got to know his mom and dad. I used to play golf with his dad. And Gary, we go out all the time. And Rock Rubin was the other guy, and Rock was, we do this club called Haggerty's, and but we all became friends, just working around and getting out, and an opportunity presented itself, and I had just done Go, and Kevin had said they brought me back as like a reoccurring IPS guy, which was terrific. I think I did like 13 or 14 episodes over the course of 3 years. So, but The Rock would always call me. He goes, "Hey, Shubie, we're gonna need you in a couple of weeks. So if you got work, cancel. We're gonna bring you in on this week." And so it gave me enough time to get out of my gigs so I could rebook it.
Yeah.
Because I was taping an episode of King Queens, and I didn't put the club in a bad spot. So, which I always hated doing. I mean, especially when you get it, I was working in Tampa at the Side Splitters, and I got my pilot. She goes, "You got to get on a plane first thing in the morning. You got to get out here. I booked you the plane ticket. You're flying first class. Pick up your rental car here. Drive to the lot." And I started working with Jane Kazmierek, was on it. Jane Kazmierek, who played the wife on Malcolm in the Middle. She was a great actress. And Neil Patrick Harris was the son. We shot that pilot.
Oh, nice.
Neil Patrick Harris was the son. And I mean, that's freaking crazy. And that was a pilot that didn't go, but it could have.
Yeah.
Bernie Brillstein produced it.
Nice.
And I got to meet Bernie, legendary figure. I mean, I got to meet some cool people and work with some great people. I mean, that's the thing, dude. I always want to work with, that's my mantra. I want to make an excellent living in an excellent way, working with excellent people for excellent pay.
That's a good mantra.
That's my mantra. I want to make an excellent living in an excellent way, working with excellent people for excellent pay. And I say that to myself all the time. I say it to myself. All of a sudden, I had a stroke. I say it to myself. No, but that's my mantra. I get sometimes I find myself saying that and putting it out there because it is. I've been very blessed, man. I like crazy. I was in Go, that movie which had a great cast in it. Was Bill Fichtner, Timmy Oxelfan, Sarah Polley, Katie Holmes, Jay Moore, Scott Wolf, Melissa McCarthy was in that, had a part in that.
Nice.
Yeah, so it's
you've been in some cool stuff, man. In Reno 911 and just a lot of
I didn't realize
cool
that
stuff.
was all improv. That was all improv.
You didn't know until you showed up?
No, well, I know I thought I would go in and get sides for the audition.
You'd think.
And they said, "No, this is improv." I said, "It's just improv?" Like,
Yeah.
"Oh, yeah." So and over the years I studied improv and just get another set of tools to have in the bag, and so I just went with it and I killed it in the audition, and then they bring me back and I find out I'm playing a military recruiter at a high school career day, and the Reno 911 cops are over here and the Peace Corps is across there, and it just led to a bunch of funny improvs, pretty scenes but you have that skill set,
Yeah.
I mean, I was prepared for it when it happened. Otherwise, you would have been. There's nothing to memorize. I goes, no, you gotta. We just wing it. I go, are you fucking serious?
Yeah.
This is fantastic. That's all. Just give me a fucking. Okay, go throw on the cameras. Watch this. I love that kind of shit.
Yeah.
But also, I like also a well written part that you could fucking add to and create. Some of those. I played Bobby Dicey on. Zeke and Luther on Disney. I played like an Evel Knievel character.
Nice.
I was Bobby Dicey, the world's greatest daredevil. That was a fun role to do.
Yeah.
And just worked your ass off on that. I mean, so yeah, all that stuff's cool, man. I mean, stand-up's what I love. I fucking like doing the magic on the side. I like fucking I like acting. This was the career I had in my head.
Yeah, man.
Believe it or not, when I was 9, they're going, if I could do that would be great. I mean, I don't think you could, if you were good at one, but you had to get good at it.
Yeah.
You got to get good at the fucking doing stand up. You got to get good at magic. You got to get good at so that you can, and that's it. So and now I'm at a point where I've done almost everything I wanted to do. I want to travel the world. I want to see the world. I want to work with different cultures. I want to go. I've done show before the pandemic. I went to China 3 times: Beijing, Shanghai, Suzhou, Wuxi, Nanjing, and there was a thing called Kung Fu Comedy that would do this touring because there were these expats. Of Americans over there teaching English to the Chinese. All these college students would go over and they would put them in housing and pay them and help them pay down their college loans. And so they had nothing to do over there. And so they would fly in American comedians and I would get the trip out of it. And I would come back with a pocket full of cash. So for me, I go, yeah, that's something.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Check. I've done armed forces entertainment. I've done welfare, morale, and recreation. When I went to Korea for 3 weeks. And then it's funny, coincidentally, I went back to Korea twice where I was working on a show called Drama World, which is a K-drama. And they're very popular around the world. In fact, a lot of South Korea's tourism is based on the K-dramas. People want to go to the diners and stuff. But they just to work on a production in another country to see how they do it was cool. And Sean LeDuc, who's really just that kid works his ass off. But I mean, but he brought me in for it. And then they brought it back. There was a couple, and they went to film season 2. So they brought me back for that. And I wound up going over there and it was fun,
That's awesome, man.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, you're jack of all trades. You're a very funny guy. I know you got to get ready for the show here, so I'll let you go. But I appreciate you doing the podcast. Well, you got any other
questions?
Man.
We answer all your questions.
I think you did great, man. I got to let you get to the show, get prepared.
Right, I walk 5 minutes.
Yeah.
Seriously, we'll take it. I've got to walk 5 minutes. No, but it's great. Good luck with the. How's your stand-up going?
It's going all right. I'm still trying here or there, just trying to.
How many spots? How many times you getting up a week?
Ideally, 2 or 3.
You gotta be more. Gotta get more.
Yeah.
You gotta find. You gotta get more because it's you. Like I'm telling you, when I went there, I was doing 3 spots a night, like 7 nights a week, trying to get as much stage time. When you hit that level, you just can't help but get better.
Yeah.
And it's all about stage time, because you got to get comfortable enough to be who you authentically are to write for that person. So, all right, yeah.
That's good advice, man.
No problem, man. Good luck with everything.
Yeah, I appreciate it. Jimmy Shubert, everybody. Check out his website. Check everything out. But thanks again for doing it. Thanks for listening and or watching Back of the Room.